See, this is some fabric that I absolutely love and bought, and I've been wanting to think of something to make it into, and was thinking of a scarf. And thinking this yarn goes really nice with it. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Maybe add a couple more colors of fabric. However, I'm going to do this in the VIP live in the school. We have some message box on top of something. So that is what I'm going to do with you guys in the VIP live that I'm going to schedule now that I have a voice. In the meantime, I'm going to use what I've already got cut, so you don't have to wait for that. This is one of these scarves that I've created using a similar technique. And it has this ruffly bottom to it. And if you're wondering if it takes a specific type of yarn, it does not. So go into your yarn shop and think differently. I got my little rubber husband here. It's another really great gift sewing idea that you can make. If you haven't made one yet, it's a lot of fun as well. So let's see what I've got here. This is another thought I had. Instead of the traditional bowl cozies, actually teaching you how I made this. Would you like this as an option for possible gift ideas for sewing for Christmas? And if you do, type bowl, and I will come up with the pattern and show you how I sewed that with pearls on the edge. Hello, Lorinda and Wendy. Sorry I didn't give you much notice today. I can read this, it's closer. So I have this jelly roll. And I was thinking, instead of just having it be stripes, which I have done before, just one color, the next color, the next color, I was thinking it would be fun to stagger as well. So important as well, because these jelly roll lengths aren't the length of a scarf. They're like half of a scarf. So what have I got here? Besides clutter. Let's pick some fabric. I do favor the teals a lot, but these fabrics are just not something I would want to wear, so I'm going to put these aside. The holidays are coming, so red for Christmas. What do you think? I have made one before. I'm thinking I'd like to use this yarn because it's very bulky, and I'm going to show you how you can sew that with the pearls and piping foot. Another thing to consider if you are choosing to use different yarns is whether or not they're itchy, because this is going to be on your skin. So I would like rub it against your neck and stuff and see how it feels. Based on what I grabbed in a hurry, This goes really nice with that. And for those of you who love purple, I could do purple with this. Now this particular yarn has a variety of different types of yarn that is strung in. So this is really soft chenille, and then it goes down to really skinny and curly looking. You can also utilize your decorative stitches to add the yarn on. So let's pick some of these. Did I drop this color out? I'm too quiet. Purple. I knew the purple lovers would say purple. So basically this is, I'm going to probably just show you a little bit of it because it will be very redundant. Now, if you've done any piecing before of quilts, you know how long it takes to sew the distance from one end to the other. What can I do to make this easier? I really do like this. This is going to be pretty. Well, I think we have a good one here. I got used to not talking. I also have made them where I wished I had gone wider. So I'm leaning toward maybe even one more strip wide. Hopefully I have enough fabric to do that. I hope you guys weren't too worried about me. I only have, oh, there's another one. Oh, I see what I did. I brought in 2 different jelly rolls. I think they work together, and that'll make it so I can actually create it, because I don't have enough of one. What do you think? Does this need to like go, or should I keep it as a little accent? Okay, well, I can work on that. I love my little fabric bowl for throwing in things as I'm sewing as well. I didn't feel like they really were good at picking the purples. I don't feel like that goes at all with that. What do you guys think? So what do you think? Do you think these all can kind of work together? And I have enough to make a scarf. I sure do love this one. I've been definitely leaning toward the orange shades this year. I have a bag of yarn that is the big giant trash can ×2, and some buckets, some Tupperware containers full of yarn as well. I don't think I'm going to like this on my neck. I'm not even sure I can unwind it. There we go. This is very old. And I've never been good about which end to pull from. How about you? Not the dark purple. All right. All right. I don't know. You tell me. Because this yarn, this is dreamy. This is really soft. Bernat velvet, and it's super cuddly. Do you think that ruins it bringing in that color, or do you think that works? Do you guys know how to find the end of the yarn when it comes like this? I'm not a knitter, nor am I a crocheter. However, I have crocheted in my life, and I did take a knitting class in Colorado once. Do you guys think that that works? Or should I go with the purple and play it safe? I just don't know where I put the purple yarn. Or go ahead and use my really cool stuff. I love how you guys you're not shy about telling me what does and doesn't work. Like this one. I have a bunch. So I'm not gonna try to keep it. Still a no for this too, you guys? You don't like this? It's very fluffy and soft. I wanted to show you more than one foot, more than one option. I have no idea what that goes to. Where did it come from? So the Sequins and Ribbon foot has this tube that allows us to put yarn through it. And this will flatten out, but not all the way flat, like some yarn does. You could also use ribbons to create a similar effect and gather these fabrics to create a springy, stretchier, yarny kind of feeling of the actual fabric. Where is the purple yarn? Oh, it's right here on my table. I couldn't find it because it was right here. Purple? Or this, or both. Let's see, I could do this on one color, and then on the orange ones do the purple. Give you a look. I kind of like the way that feels. So when we're on purple, we go with the yellow, and then when we're on the yellow, we go with the purple. Both? We have a decision. I'm very uncoordinated when I work with yarns. So for the Sequins and Ribbon foot, let's see how this one looks. We have more than one size guide opening. Another thing I'm going to use is the liquid-based glue so that I don't have to worry about my fabric shifting. Looking for my guides. I organized this week. I did a little bit too much organizing, I think. We have the 3/8 inch opening, 1/4 inch. And then we have the 1/8 inch that has a round opening. would be a good idea to iron first, which I was going to do. I was so enthusiastic last week and thought my voice would hold out, and it only held out for what, 5 minutes? And I thought, well, I could just do what I was doing last week and delete that video altogether, but then you'd be seeing the same thing 2 weeks in a row. We have just been making decisions. Yes, you haven't missed anything, Brenda. Hi, Tammy. Hello, everybody. I love you so much. Are you guys having dry hands? It's winter. Oh, it's not winter. It's still fall. We don't fall into winter until December. Should I complement with colored thread to even more enhance? I could use invisible thread and then you wouldn't see any stitching at all. That's another option. And what I'm going to use for this yarn is the pearls and piping foot, because this one is so big and bulky. Where are all my feet? Oh my goodness. Looking for my pearls and piping foot, because all I've done is octahoops lately. You'll have to remember that an hour later now. Remember, it seems like I change my time, but I don't. It's you guys changing yours. This is ridiculous. Oh, there's the other organizer. Still no pearl and piping foot. This is bizarre. Okay. Well, I'm just going to have to grab a foot from inventory. And God willing, everything goes really well this week, and I will be more organized next week. I'm tempted to gather some of these, to show you how I gather as well. Maybe we'll do that for the VIP. I don't know how my feet ran off. Grab a package. You guys can see how they are packaged. I also found a bunch of fabric that fell on the floor. Yeah. Nope, we had decided against the But back to the guide options for the Sequins and Ribbon foot. We also have that one there. And these are packaged separately. They're the accessory guide set. Each of our feet also have instructions, so you'll see the different settings, and there's illustrations as well. So choosing the correct guide opening is what can be a little tricky. Do any of you remember how to determine which guide opening to choose. When you get to this area here, it gets really bulky. Oh, what a mess I've made of it. We'll see how well I can do. So I could use this yarn as well with the sequins and ribbon foot. Which of these openings do you think would be the right one for that yarn? And how you determine it is you squish it and then roll it between your fingers. And you'll find that yarn, just as I twist it here, becomes a lot thinner than it is when it's relaxed. So what you want to base it on is how small is the yarn when you twist and stretch it out. That is the size opening that you'd want to use for that. So I'm going to use the smallest opening for this yarn here, for the purple. And try to find an end. Hopefully I won't lose my patience and cut it in a bad spot. Yeah, the smallest one won't guide that big fluffy yarn because it's not as squishy as some other yarns that are that big. So if your yarn is really big and it squishes perfectly flat, then you can use a smaller guide. I know you love me when you're willing to accept this in me. Here we go. I found an end. And I'm just gonna ask the angels to keep that coming out of there. Hopefully that wasn't a cut that I did when I got impatient before. Okay. So now when you want to get the yarn into the opening, and in this case, I am going to use that. Maybe, let's see. That won't stretch to flat, but it will squish. I'm pretty sure all of these will go through the round hole. Now to get it in there, you take a piece of thread and lay it down, and then lay your yarn on top of it. And then you just fold the thread in half and basically, sorry about that. I've been working on a painting. I have paint all over me. So folding that yarn over a piece of folded thread. Now you grab the ends of the thread, which are a lot thinner. And you go through that small hole. And then just wrap my finger around it and pull. It takes it right through. And this is the guide that comes with the sequins and ribbon foot when you purchase it. So now I'm going to turn that nut until it falls off. Your grandmother loved to untangle yarn. Oh, I could use her. I should probably look on YouTube for how to unravel your yarn. I'll bet there's someone who's created a video for that. after you loosen it enough, this will just kind of fall off of the foot. And even if you drop it, that nut stays in the foot. So you can just pull it out and you don't have to worry about losing it. And then you just slide it into that next guide and then start to screw that back on. I've had some, excuse me, I've had some necklaces that I've pretty much given up on before too. Another way that you can screw this on is to just kind of spin the foot around until it kind of sticks. And then on the back, you'll notice there's a post that goes into that slot. And that you continue to screw it on from there. Last week, I was using our Octi hoops. And on that, we don't use a presser foot. So I didn't have my adapter on my machine. This is the adapter that comes with my machine, and our feet just snap right onto it. If your machine doesn't have the same width then you can select from one of the adapters that we include with the feet, and they go onto that post, and then push, and now that's a high shank. This is as a universal snap-on. If you have a Bernina machine, you can use a Bernina adapter in addition to our shortest adapter and snap it on. And now your Bernina is a universal snap-on foot machine. If you have a FOF machine, you'll disengage your even feed mechanism and then slide our smallest adapter up and under your machine's screw after removing your adapter. And then tighten it down with a screwdriver, and your FOF then is a universal snap-on foot machine as well. You don't have to worry about these breaking. You can snap them on and off. You can just twist them on and off as well. Our products are warranted for life. So even if your dog chews it up, as long as he spits it out, we give you a new foot. All right, and tighten that screw down. I currently have yellow thread on the machine, and I don't want to use that for this yarn. And you could use a really thick thread and have your thread be another accent on the yarn, or use 3 different colors of thread through the eye of one needle. You can do that. If you didn't know you could, now you do. Or you can go incognito and use invisible thread. This is our invisible thread. And then you don't see any stitch on the yarn at all. Our feet include 4 adapters, Donna. So you get 4 adapters in each package, the presser foot and the instructions. And then they just open. And the adapters are easily attached. This is another foot that I'm going to use as well today. This is the pearls and piping foot. And the name on the package is the actual instructions. We've always included instructions with all of the creative feet. You'll see on the front of the booklet the different techniques that are included in the instructions. It doesn't mean that that is all the foot does. Each of the creative feet do over 20 different things. So should I do a gathered version of this for the VIP live this month? Those of you who are not part of the VIP, you'll see at the top of the live chat, learn, and that link takes you right to my school. And you can become a member of that. You also get a 7-day free trial. So now I'm going to attach the presser foot onto the sewing machine with the yarn already inserted into the foot, and it is easier if you do that. And when working with invisible thread, the invisible thread in clear would show up on dark yarn. See how you can see it? We're currently out of smoke. Did just have the company that winds this for us resurface recently, so we should have this smoke back in stock soon. You can see you lay the two threads over the trim or the fabric, and the one you don't see is the thread that you want to use. And see how you can't see the smoke? Well, that would be the correct thread for sewing this yarn. But you guys get to vote. Invisible thread or not. Type invisible if you think I should use the invisible thread. It's reach into the center of the yarn. I tried that. I got this one going right. But this one I bought at a really nice yarn shop. So I guess I probably even had them help me pull it out, so I knew. Yes, if you have all the feet, you have the adapters, you probably just didn't need them for your machine. So keep in mind also that you can use metallic, but a lot of you have trouble with metallic thread. I'm going to use the Invisifill thread, which is close enough to invisible. And I'm going to use a neutral color that kind of blends in with, should I? It's going to show up on there. Ooh, I think it's going to work. That'll add a little bit of contrast and pick up the orange color, or kind of look like that. Do I have an agreement? Do you guys think that's a good idea? It's the quickest point of me getting to the sewing. Got things, too many things in front of me right now. By the way, I found my quilt. I think Brenda was wanting me to make my quilt. I found all my quilt blocks finally. I still need to find, I have done damage to my needle threader, so bear with me as I have to use my eyes. And I don't have a pair of glasses yet. We'll see how I do. If I seem a little slow, I am just at the tail end of whatever it is I had. And if I just rested when I was sick, I'd probably get better quicker. My goodness. Was it you, Donna, or was it Wendy? I think what it is my needle is really small. And that's why it's not threading. Why am I using such a small needle? Putting my needle up on top of the machine because I think that's a 70-10. And I can use an 80-12. You could also use a double needle. Oh, you could do so many things. I decided I can't not carry needles, you guys, so I'm going to be adding back in all the sizes that we discontinued. My needle threader's there, but it didn't thread it. And I'm going to switch to a 80-12 needle. Just a few packs of needles here. So bear with me as we bring back all the sizes that we've run out of the needles. But if you're wondering what I'll be using for this, it's an 80-12 universal needle. I can find it in this is an old checkbook box. They were perfect height for putting your needles in. Ooh. There's so many different things that... Here's the thing, I'm filming the Creative Feed Extensive, which is partly why things are discombobulated. To make filming quicker. All right, here we go. Hopefully I didn't damage my threader. Yay! So remember that a 10 is too small for your needle threader. I could have bent it, but I didn't. I got away with it. I have bent it before and was able to repair it, but I am a mechanic, so don't do what I do. So I said I was going to use the purple on the lighter colors. This is a short piece, so apparently before I lost my patience. So this would go nicely. This one. And you want to have right sides both facing up. And then you take the liquid-based glue and draw on the edge of your fabric using it. You can do little dots, like a dot every couple inches, if you like, or you can also draw a line of it. And then as you draw a line of it, then you slide your finger over it gently, and then lay the next fabric on top, overlapping about 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. And now that's going to be held together and ready for us to apply the yarn onto it. So the slowest part is gluing. I would sit down watching, hey, Yellowstone's released. Are you guys following Yellowstone? If you are and you don't know that it released this week, it has. I have not started watching it yet, but it takes a lot for me to sit and watch TV. I'm always busy. Now when I'm pushing down against this, I'm doing it really light, like as if as much muscle or pushing strength as it would take to brush this piece of thread off of the surface. So the people that have trouble with using the liquid base, which is just water-soluble stabilizer in a bottle, generally have problems because they push down on it. And just keep sliding it up. I got too many fabrics, too much in my way. don't be telling me anything about Yellowstone. This glue went in an airplane and it's under pressure. So it's wanting to come out of the opening. So how I deal with that is I get a straight pen, which I don't really have a lot of those. I own some. You need like a long pin to go past where it screws on. Otherwise it just keeps flowing up. It's quite interesting. And it may seem cumbersome to do this or time consuming, but it is well worth it. Because you don't have to worry about the fabric shifting on you. Well, I had to cough and my button, I think it worked. I spared you. Still got this little nagging cough if I talk for extended periods of time. I lost my train of thought. Yeah. Another thing that happens when you sew strips of jelly rolls is frequently you'll end up with them growing. Now these were just 2 different lengths to begin with. But if you've ever sewn a length of a jelly roll to another side and had them start to grow or get longer with each one, and they were all the same size to begin with, this prevents that from happening. So you don't have to sew down this way, flip the whole thing over, and then sew down that way to stop the fabric from creeping if you use the liquid-based glue. This is our liquid-based, and you'll find it under supplies at creativefeet.com. Spit the hairball. It's almost like a hairball. And it's just this little bit of water-soluble stabilizer that's wet. So if you ever see my fingers looking like my skin's really dried out, it's just the glue. Even though this is a colored thread, it's super fine. It's only 100 weight. You'll find it also at creativefeet.com under the thread link. And I will be continuing to carry the wonderful thread. I just am going to go away from the bobbins. Because what am I going to do without colors of thread to buy? Well, your brain will say, put the yarn down on the fabric and then lower the foot. However, the sewing machine needle is what we want to base where the yarn is located. And the reason I have this nut on the foot is so that you can turn the nut and change the position or the location of the yarn beneath the needle. Because your sewing machine needle, especially on a zigzag stitch, can't be moved around. Well, some machines can now, but most cannot. I hope that made sense. I'm using if I use a regular zigzag stitch, you're going to see the stitch as a zigzag stitch. If I use a 3-step zigzag, it won't show up as much. And the width of this yarn is relatively thin, so I don't have to use a wide width. So I'm going down to, I'm reducing the width to a 3.0 width. Now I need to reach my foot control. Know that I am not centered with my needle. I always start in on the fabric and then I sew a couple stitches and then I back up. But on this stitch, it won't let me back up. So I lift the foot, move, and then back myself up and come back. And that'll keep that stitch from unraveling at any point in time. Where are we? Oh, it's stuck on I was leaning against the fabric. Center yourself with your needle. It's a lot easier. And then which fabric's on top? The pink fabric's on top. So that's what I need to look at right here to steer. So I can see that my stitch is over there. It's not on that. I'm gonna go a little bit wider. There we go. We do want the yarn to be stitched down. Why is that not moving? There we go. So it's a 3-step zigzag stitch going stitch, 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 stitch. And it's quick, it's a fast stitch, but it's not really pretty, but most people aren't going to be looking closely at this anyway. This is one of the machines that allows me to move the stitch over. Now, if you start feeling the compulsion to pull your fabric through, then increasing the stitch length will make it move faster. Sorry, I had to cough again. And I'm lengthening the stitch because I feel the compulsion to pull. And you can move the yarn out of the way so that you can see where it's coming in relation, or where it's located in relation to the edge of the fabric. And you can see how the foot takes the yarn in. This is one of the unique features of this foot. All the companies that copied my concept, they don't have a circular tube that it feeds through, which makes you have to guide the yarn. In fact, if you are to hold onto the yarn while sewing, you could actually cause it to gather, which is another technique. Gathering with yarn. Perhaps. Oh, I thought I muted my cough. It doesn't get much easier than that. I just have one finger just keeping the fabric straight. Very, very light, not even moving my hand, just resting. You can see my elbow is resting on the table, which usually has my little elbow pillow beneath it. And I'm usually centered in front of the needle. I am actually about a foot to the side so that all the equipment can see better. Once I know that I'm in position, if I don't move my hand, then the fabric will keep guiding straight. Because the feed dogs are designed to keep you sewing straight. And once again, I'm reaching the end, and I'm going to sew down to the end, raise the foot, up, back a little bit, it's just a little bit, and then go again. And that ties like a knot with that stitch. So that's if you don't really care about your stitch. Could use decorative stitches, as I mentioned before. Now the next row of stitches, I'm not going to use this yarn. I'm going to switch to the bulky yarn, which requires the sequins and ribbon foot. I could try it. I could show you something. I could show you what I would really like to do. All right. I'm going to show you something. Now remember, there's instructions on how to take the guides off and on. So if I want to not use the pearls and piping foot, but instead use the sequins and ribbon foot because it completely surrounds the yarn and then the yarn can't escape, I'll be more accurate. But if I use the sequins and ribbon foot, its bottom, because I designed it to control sequins, would actually cause it would have a hard time sewing over the yarn. It's like sewing over a railroad track. So I'm going to take the guide off the sequins and ribbon foot and put it on the satin edge foot. I'll bet you didn't know I was going to say that. Those of you who are smarty pants and think you know everything that I'm going to say already. Have I ever shown you to take the satin edge foot guide off and put the sequins and ribbon foot guide on it? If I have, tell me. If I haven't, let me know. And for those of you who don't know what the satin edge foot is, the satin edge foot is the one that sews perfect 1/4 inch seam allowances and eliminates the need for a serger. So I'm just turning this nut. And eventually you'll feel like it just won't go any further because the guide pin is stuck on the bottom of the foot. Now we continue until the guide falls off the foot. Okay, so now taking the nut out and the sequins and ribbon foot, but I'm not going to use the smallest opening. This yarn is far too big for that. This is the yarn that I'm going to be using, so you can imagine that won't fit through that little round hole, will it? Amy's not here. She lives in the same state, so I don't know. I didn't give everyone a lot of warning. She takes naps sometimes and she goes, oh man, I slept all the way through it. So perhaps it's a sleepy day. So here we have 2 different feet and they have different shapes and 2 different guides. And when I designed the foot, I designed it to both feet to use the same nut. This is a custom nut that we make for the foot. And this slot prevents the nut from falling out. It's engineered to be tight. And the reason I designed it that way is because when the feed dogs start hitting or pulling the fabric from you, it bangs against the bottom of the foot. And all the other feet in the industry that have a nut, the nut is loose and it just unscrews from the beating of the feed dogs hitting the bottom of the foot. So when you have a hard time turning the nut, because it can be tough, know that that is why, so that your sewing machine can't unscrew and move the guide over while you're sewing. Sometimes we want it to be that tight. And now I have to remember where I put the other guide. Here it is. So you can see how big that yarn is. You could use our pearls and piping foot, even though it doesn't seem like it will be able to because it's thicker than the opening. But it will squish it flat and allow you to sew it. However, because yarn is squishy, you could also be sewing along and all of a sudden the foot just goes right over it. And that is why it's better to get this yarn through that 1/4 inch guide opening. And if I have this smooth flat bottom right on the yarn, well, it has a hard time staying on the yarn. Whereas the satin edge foot, because it has this channel that's designed to let your thick threads go under on satin stitching, now it will just let the yarn slide right beneath it. But we still want something to help us guide it straight. And getting this through the guide is going to be a challenge, just as it was before. So you just take a piece of thread and lay the yarn over it. And then you just take these two threads through the guide that I had a minute ago. There it is. I usually have a longer piece of thread than this. There we go. And then you just pull, and because yarn is squishy, it will go through there. So you could even sew 2 rows of this at once, should you want. And this is really spongy and soft. It's a nice thread. It's a really nice yarn. I think I have a spool that has them in open somewhere, and if I do, I'll put a description in the link below the video when I'm done. Okay, so now we need the nut. And we put the nut into that slot. And then screw it onto the satin edge foot. And you'll see that I've engineered that this guide will line up right with that front part of the foot. A lot of thought went into designing these feet. Hello, Donna DeWitt. This is not something that I talk about a lot because I don't want you guys taking your guides off and on, only because it's so common for you guys to forget what you're doing. Have you ever started a project and totally forgot? I mean, I'm an example of that every time I come back to here and film a live show, right? I forget what I was doing the last week and have to remember, oh, what was I teaching? What needle do I have on the machine? All that stuff. So this is something for those of you who have the feet and have not ventured into something new and exciting. Now you know this is something that you can do. And it will feel like you got something new, even though you don't. This is going to go on the dark fabric. So this one will be on top. And I need to choose another fabric color to go beneath it. Another thing to note is that when you overlap, instead of creating a seam by sewing right sides together and then flipping it over, you could have narrow, wide by simply making sure that the one you want to be wide is always on top of the one beside it. And now you can have alternating sizes. If you want them all in at the same size, then you would overlap so that the next piece is on top of the next piece and the next piece is on top of the next piece. I'm liking the idea of having it not be the exact same size. And once again, and most importantly, you need the support of the liquid-based stabilizer, which is what this is. It's a water-soluble stabilizer that's wet. Because this yarn is a lot thicker. This would be a good opportunity to use the Caterpillar Light tablet as well. And you won't find it on our website anymore. You can get a 15% coupon or discount buying anything at caterpillar.com by putting in the coupon code Claire Rowley. And that will be in the description below the video as well. It was just too many back orders and too much work to keep track of their product line. I still adore it, and everybody really does need a Caterpillar. So you do support me in a very small way by using the coupon code. I get a tiny bit of commission on anything that you buy at Caterpillar. You like it? I think this is going to be really pretty, you guys. I made the black one for the holidays, but it ended up becoming a sample, so I would also like to have a red and black and maybe gold blended together for Christmas. You also can easily do the same thing using minky or knit fabric. So if you want a knit scarf and you're in that, what is that, discount area in the back of your fabric store where they have all these fabrics and they're really long to begin with, then you don't have to worry about creating two and sewing them together where your neck is. And you can also create a fur area for where your neck, for where the scarf rests on your neck. You should wait for this to dry. This isn't dry yet. If I were to do another row, it would be dry in time. It's going to be a pretty scarf though, don't you think? Yes, very easy Christmas gift too. Because of the way that I glue these together, they don't have any bias anymore. So they won't shift on you this way and they won't creep. That means you can take a piece of your fabric, the length you want the scarf to actually be, and you can cut across the grain, and even though the cross grain is stretchy, it won't stretch while you're sewing. And it will also make it more comfortable to wear. These jelly rolls are cut the opposite direction. They're cut across the grain. What I was saying before is with the grain. So with the grain is stretchy. And I'll try to show you that here. So this is where the fold of the fabric on a bolt, and then they just cut across. And that makes it not very stretchy. If you cut the length of the fabric, then it has stretch to it, and that makes it a lot more comfortable. Now sewing the yarn on top of the pink is going to make this appear smaller. And this is so much bulkier than this yarn. I still think it's going to be really neat. And this yarn I think it would be fun to do a decorative stitch. What do you guys think? Something where we're actually, I got an owie on my finger. Sorry about that. I'm going to use the shell tuck stitch, which is one of my favorite stitches. It kind of looks like a blanket stitch. It goes stitch and then goes over and then stitch and then over. I want to make sure that the stitch where it's so straight is on the pink. And this stitch is designed that way. I'm going to go all the way to the 7mm wide width because this is about 8 to 9mm wide yarn. And I'm going to lengthen the stitch length, so let's see what we get. Now this is a stitch that's how I hop back, and I'm going to hop back again. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want this to be secure, like a knot. And sometimes the knot stitch just is not enough to hold the yarn. Once again, I can take the yarn and move it aside so that I can see the edge of the guide and know that that should be lined up with that. And this is a fast stitch. It's also not going to flatten out the yarn because the stitch goes beside it and then goes over it, which you'll see in a minute. Isn't that cool looking? And the shell tuck stitch is designed for lingerie. It will do the same thing. It'll make the edge of your lingerie have little pearls, or it looks like shells. This camera shows the colors better. Zoom, zoom, huh? And you can lower your thread tension on this also, and lower the pressure of the foot, which I've already done. You're remembering the sunflower? I'm gonna make another one of this. My thread just got caught on something, and I think it broke. It did. I noticed it before the machine had a chance. Before the machine even knew the thread broke. That's what sewing for, I'm 61, I'll be 62 in January. Ay, where did all that time go? I invented these feet, satin edge foot, when I was 19 and released them to the world in my 20s. I forgot what I was saying because I just was surprised by how many years. Oh, how many years have I been sewing? If I started sewing at 4 by hand and 9 by sewing machine, but teaching since I was 16. For those of you who don't know that history, my parents had a sewing machine dealership, and I started teaching free motion embroidery. Took a class from the lady that invented it, Lou Ray, long time ago in West Coast College, where I eventually taught some classes. And now I'm back to sitting with my fingers like this on either side of the fabric, using the insides of my fingers to guide the fabric so that I can, instead of having to watch the fabric, I can look at the camera. And now you probably would like to look at the camera part, though. So here we go. Uh-oh, I switched screens. Here we go. So I'm basically, it's hard, this camera's too close. Just putting one hand like that and the other hand doing the same thing. But I'm right in front of the sewing machine. Actually, one time when it is better to have the trim off to the side, out of sight. Kind of nice, and I could just see this being like double-sided and maybe have batting. Have this be like double-sided but batting. What do you think? Pretty cool, huh? Ties in nicely. So this is basically how you build your scarf, and after you're done, you know, you got a scarf. A very pretty scarf. And I have a very, very big order of Stick and Tear, our top selling, the world's best adhesive back tearaway stabilizer for machine embroidery, to get out today, or I would keep playing with you. If you are a VIP, I will be doing a full scarf for the VIP group. I'll probably have part of it already filmed so that I can release a recorded video in addition to the live. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I sure hope you'll do so today. And when you do, hit the bell, and then you'll be notified. And you won't miss out when I go live, in case you forget what time it is in Arizona, because we don't change our clocks like the rest of you had to last week. I think it was last week. This could be used for a wide variety of different things, not just a scarf, as you can imagine. And yarn is soft, so this is a good thing to do for babies as well. And as I mentioned before, you can use it for Minky as the stabilizer. That liquid glue that we put down acts as a stabilizer. And we have plenty of it. Somebody was asking if we were running out. I don't know. There's lots of different rumors out there, because I sent out an email when my daughter was going to have surgery saying I would be closed, that I was closing for a week. And so there's a rumor out there that I'm closing, but no, I'm not closing. I love you guys too much to do that. And then what would I do? So if this was pleasing to you, I sure hope that you found it beneficial. And the feet that I used today was the Sequins and Ribbon and Satin Edge foot combined, and the Sequins and Ribbon foot by itself with the accessory guides. You'll find them under the products link, and also under the Creative Feet link at creativefeet.com. And you can also check with your sewing machine dealers and tell them they can be a dealer if you want to have your dealer carry our products in your location. I don't know if this outro video is going to work, because the intro video was just sitting there static. And sorry for looking so tired and worn out. Still recovering from a bug that I got. I hope I didn't bug you this week like I did last week. And see you next Thursday. And those of you in the VIP, you can expect an invitation very soon from me on the next VIP Live. Love you guys. Bye. Apparently, it's just not going to work. It's not going to play the video, which is so weird. Because my computer can definitely handle that. So I'm trying to think what happens at the end. What happens at the end is I'm just going to come back on and say, there's not going to be an outro. All the links will be in the description below the video after I'm not live anymore. And see you next time. Bye.